Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the English translation of the Majlis of Hazrath Mohammadqamaruzzamansaheb Damat Barakatuhum, which took place on Thursday night at Darul Ma'arif al-Islamiyya, Kareli, Alahbadi, UP, India, Thursday, the 6th night of Ramadan 1446, the 6th of March 2025. Our Hazrat Wala starts off this majlis and discourse by reciting Qul Huwallahu Ahad. Hazrat Wala is saying that this is the kalam and the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Greater than this there is no other speech. Now, if the honor and the respect of this kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is less in our hearts, we then should enhance it. We should enhance it. So here Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is saying, Man sama Ramadana imanan wa ihtisaban ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbi. The person who keeps the roza of Ramadan in such a way that he verifies, he acknowledges its compulsory nature, and he is desirous of the reward of that roza, meaning that it is not for show and ostentation, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will then forgive all his sins. Now look here, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has made a prerequisite for the forgiveness of the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the prerequisite? It is iman and ihtisab. To believe and understand the compulsory nature of fasting. That's why I am fasting, and to be desirous of the reward. So this is the very same condition with that of Quran. Tilawat of the Quran Majid. At the time of recitation, a person should bring iman that this year is the speech of the Lord of all the worlds. Now Allah Ta'ala has, and this will also be the case with that of Salat. Allah Ta'ala has mentioned in the Quran, La yamassuhu illa al-mutahharun, that will not touch it except those who have been purified. Will not touch it except those who have been purified, meaning the malaika. And this can also be the meaning that will not touch it except those people whose hearts have been purified and they enjoy good character. The character is absolutely pure. Now it is these people whom the knowledge and the reality of the Quran reaches and penetrates deep down in their heart. There was a Sahabi of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Sayyidina Ikrama radiyallahu ta'ala an, when he used to pick up the Quran, he would say, Hada kalamu Rabbi. Hada kalamu Rabbi. That was his iman there, that he's reading, but he's attaching that importance and he's acknowledging that this is the grand speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is just no ordinary book. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to turn the attention of the people much to that of tilawat and the importance and the respect, the honor of the Quran. He would speak about this particular article and these topics of Al-Quran in front of the ulama of Deoband. Allah Ta'ala bless us with the fuyuz and the barakat of the Quran. You know, again our Hazrat Wala is saying about the greatness of the kitab that he has in front of him, Tilawat Quran, that Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab said that how many people by means of this kitab will become Ahlullah. You know, there's an incident our Hazrat Wala is speaking about, that certain person comes and visit his friend at the time of iftar, and then he's very reluctant, he doesn't join in the meal. It is the time of Ramadan, and his friend is telling him, come eat, and he doesn't want to come eat. And then after that, the friend understands that something has gone wrong here. There is a foul smell, meaning that perhaps this person has left the fold of Islam. And then he debates with him on this point that, listen, this is food. Leave everything else aside. I'm asking you to just have a meal with me. And in that way, the person agreed and he started eating. But what was it all about? When he inquired, he says that I have got a doubt regarding the fast of Ramadan. And this is what happens to people. They listen to this, that and the other. They read this type of literature and that type of literature. Nevertheless, he advises his friend that, listen, tomorrow first thing in the morning, go to Hazrat Maulana Fazlur Rahman, Ganj Moradabadi. The friend then goes. Now look at these great personalities. Allah Ta'ala had opened it up to him. He was sitting in his veranda, the stoop there. And when he looks at the face of this person, he understands rejection in his face. From there, he pounced. He jumped over that half wall in the stoop in the veranda there and sped off to him. And then he takes his hand and strikes it on the chest, and saying that, now what doubt do you have? What doubt do you have? Tell me, what doubt do you have? And after striking him 2-3 times on the chest, this person himself then later on relates this incident, saying that at that time I actually found in myself that my entire iman had been restored. Now these were the great personalities. I mean, he was Sahib-e-Karamat. Great miracles with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala became apparent at his hands. His iman was also corrected. Now Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ahmad Partabgari used to say that dua kije, fir mile. That make dua to Allah that we granted Ramadan again, that we get Ramadan again, over and over again. Now why was he saying it? It was the importance they attached to it. That's why this was their outlook and their approach. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab used to say over and over again, kuch hasil karna, mahroom nahi rehna, achieve something, do something, attain something, don't sit there deprived. Make an intention in your heart, azm, a firm resolution that your connection and your ta'alluq with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala must be rectified and you must enjoy a great relationship with the Quran. Hazrat Wala is speaking about that incident when he went to Dubai and he met one of the senior alims there who said that, listen, I have so many kitabs on Quran, but this risala of yours, everything else aside, and this risala of yours is just sufficient. Therefore, O people, turn your attention to the Quran. This Quran is a means of joining and linking up the servant with his Rabb. Listen, I made much mehnat in compiling this kitab, putting it together, and then we cleaned it out, and then we showed it to Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, etc. And this is how you have this kitab here today. You know, we're speaking of Al-Quran and reciting it genuinely, hakiki tilawat. Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, back in the day there, he used to say there was about 52, 53 towns, cities in the whole of UP, and then he would go on spurring and encouraging the people, saying to them that, listen, who will recite genuinely, come out of this customary recitation, who will recite the Quran genuinely? And then people started standing up and giving their names. And what was he trying to say to the people? If I find just one person in every town and every zilla, every city there in UP to recite the Quran genuinely, this would be enough. So this is the kitab of Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab. He kept on speaking. For one entire month he spoke about the Quran, and this is how you have this kitab in front of you. You know, in front of Hazrat Tanvi, he was absolutely mute, quiet, still, silent. Hazrat Khaja Azizul Hasan Madzub rahimahullah used to tell him, Wasiullah, you must speak a bit. Wasiullah, this, Wasiullah say something. He never spoke. But after that, after Hazrat Tanvi left, and after Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab went to his seat of teaching, then he continued speaking, and he spoke and he spoke and he never stopped. No matter who came, whether it was Allama Ibrahim Balyawi or Hazrat Qari Tayyib Sahab Rahimahullah, he would start quoting from Hujjatullah al-Baligha and from Ihya'ul Ulum. I mean, later on, people even said that Hazrat, it's very good you quoted from Hujjatullah al-Baligha. This personality actually teaches Hujjatullah al-Baligha. So he kept in mind completely and totally all the adab and the etiquettes, that this is my ustad and I am his student. But then too, he passed on whatever he had to pass on. You know, people used to understand that Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab is somebody who's very hard, he's very harsh. But this was it. His cry was that he wanted every person to have ta'alluq with Quran. You know, here we're speaking about tasdeeq. We're speaking about verification, acknowledgement, understanding that it is the hukam of Allah. Allah has ordained it and made it compulsory upon us fasting. This is incumbent. This is necessary. Okay, so let's continue. Here, Allah Ta'ala is saying about the greatness of His kalam in these words. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون. If we have to reveal this Quran onto a mountain, and we grant this mountain understanding of the Quran without this mountain doesn't have any type of barrier of carnal desires, nafsani shahawat. You will see then this mountain, you'll see it humble itself, it will shatter, it will split out of the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are the examples that we relate to the people so that they reflect about their personal conditions. So this is how great the Quran Majid is. In another ayat, Allah Ta'ala says, Inna aradana al-amanata ala as-samawati wal-ardi wal-jibal فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا. Allah is saying, verily we offered the trust, the responsibility of fulfilling Allah's commands, this amanat, this Quran, we offered it to the heavens, the earth and the mountains, but they refused to bear it and cringed at the mere thought of bearing it because of the grave consequences of neglecting the duty when given the great consequences of neglecting this duty. Now, when this amanat, the responsibility of Quran, the Quran itself was given to man, man bore it, realizing that he was created to be Allah Ta'ala's deputy on earth. However, he, man and insan in general, is extremely unjust when it comes to fulfilling this trust, and ignorant, is foolish about the consequences of this. So see, from this year, from these ayat, we understand how great and how much of honor and izzat the Quran deserves. But where do we even have this opportunity to understand all these things? Our hal is such that we understand this to be sufficient, that we just read from the tip of our tongues one para or two para, one manzil or two manzil. And because we don't have the importance, the azmat, the honor, the greatness, the jalalat of the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our minds, We don't have it in our minds. Okay, so let's continue. So when you have in your heart and in your mind the importance and the honor of the Quran Majid, then you will achieve something. You know, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahab, towards the end, you know, the effects of the Quran are so tremendous, so tremendous. Towards the end, he would quote this so much. He heard from Hazrat Tanvi that the Pir Bhai of Hazrat Tanvi, Hazrat Hafiz Zamin Shaheed, or was it the other one from the Aqtab-e Thalatha who used to stay in Tanabawan? So one Pandit came there to the Khanka and he said, "What is this? You people say that there are great effects in the Quran, but I do not find anything." Nevertheless, he said to him, "Sit down." And then he started reading, Qaf, Wal Quranil Majid. And he started reading with such passion and kaif and hal that the person, that Pandit, immediately said, "Enough, enough. I understand it now. There is still effects in the Quran." Now Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and the hidayat of reciting Quran in the way it deserves to be recited. So people have left everything to the outside, to external. They read Quran like that, but they are not prepared to take any type of effect. And it is like that of the munafiqeen. No tasdeeq, no nothing. See there, إِذَا جَاءَكَ الْمُنَافِقُونَ قَالُوا نَشْهَدُ إِنَّكَ لَرَسُولُ اللَّهِ. When the munafiqeen came to you, what did they say? That we bear witness that you are the Rasul of Allah. وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ إِنَّكَ لَرَسُولُ. And Allah even knows this very well, that you are His Rasul. Wallahu yashhadu innahum lakadibun. And Allah Ta'ala bears testimony to this, that they are blatant liars. They are liars. They are saying that, but their outside is something and their inside is something else. So here, qurb wa riza ka sab se bara zariya. This Quran is the greatest means of proximity and the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Ahlullah, the great men of Allah, the amount of proximity and pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala they achieved by recitation of the Quran Majid. They did not achieve that by the means of anything else. Rather, they got their buzrugi and their wilayat, their sainthood, all of that from this very Quran. They never used to read with the tip of the tongue only, rather they accompanied the heart as well. Today, first of all, to start off with, people don't read Quran. And then those who are reading are only reading it from the tip of the tongue. They have got no attachment of the heart with this in the whole equation. And they, in their confidence and in their faith, there is this type of corruption. They don't understand the Quran to have any link with that of piety and sainthood. First of all, they don't read the Quran with their hearts, and then they don't keep the importance, the honor, the izzat, the respect of the Quran in their hearts. And then after that, when they do not achieve the fuyuz, the barakat, the blessings of the Quran, then they think to themselves that truly with tilawat, buzrugi cannot be achieved. Now if this is not deviation, then what else can it be? Allah Ta'ala revealed this kalam of His to the makhluk, so that they can strike up a connection with Him, relationship, and they can get close to Him. Now, if people don't have i'tiqad, faith and conviction in this today, then what a type of displeasure and wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not come to us. Allah will be upset. The kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be upset as well. Listen, the Ahlullah, they turn the attention much to the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His speech. They created within themselves thirst and enthusiasm and affinity with the Quran. They kept in mind the honor, respect, the izzat of the Quran, and they understood it to be Allah Ta'ala's speech that Allah Ta'ala has revealed to people and sent down here to earth. I'm not saying, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib is saying, I'm not saying that Muslims don't make tilawat. Like this way, that way, people are making tilawat. I see after the Fajr Salat, young and old sit to read. People even send their children to the maktab for this reason. They even tolerate the expenses that come with it. So how can I then say that the Quran has been abandoned? Yes, I'm saying so much that the Quran is being recited. However, there is no honor, respect and izzat, ihtiram. Rather, the hearts are empty of the honor of the Quran, the respect of the Quran. The Buzurgan-e-Deen made this very clear, that if people have the knowledge, they're not practicing. And if they're practicing, they don't have ikhlas. And if they're sitting with the Ahlullah, they don't have the ihtiram and the honor and the respect of these great men of Allah in their hearts. In their hearts. कामयाबी तो काम से होगी, न कि हुस्न कलाम से होगी, जिक्र की इल्तिजाम से होगी, फिक्र की इह्तिमाम से होगी. This success will come about, but you have to do some work. It's not going to come about with sweet talks. You'll have to be regular with your zikr. You will have to have concern for your islah. So, Hazrat Maulana Shah Wasiullah Sahib used to ask, and we would say that we're sufficing on tilawat. And then he would go on. No, both. Make tilawat and make dhikr. The kayfiyat, the nur, the barakat of tilawat is completely separate. And that of dhikr, it is completely separate. If you leave out the dhikr, you would be deprived of the barakat, the fuyuz of dhikrullah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let us make dua to Him. Allah Ta'ala bless us with this connection with Him, His nisbat. Allah bless us with His love. Allah bless us with His recognition. Allah Ta'ala give us the tawfiq and hidayat of appreciating Ramadan. Allahumma allif bayna qulubina wa aslih dhata baynina wahdina subul as-salam wa najjina min adh-dhulumati ila an-nur wa jannibna al-fawahisha ma dhahara minha wa ma batan wa barik lana fi asma'ina wa absarina wa qulubina wa azwajina wa dhurriyyatina innaka antat tawwabur rahim. Rabbana taqabbal minna innaka antas samiul alim wa tub alayna innaka antat tawwabur rahim. بحرمة سيد النبي الكريم صلى الله عليه وسلم.